Louisiana, a land of swamps and shadows, where whole lives can slip away without a trace. Mystery here isn't rare, it's expected. Tonight, we uncover 3 chilling cases still unsolved. A woman who disappeared from her own yard, a house fire hiding a darker truth, and a young mother who vanished while knocking on doors. These are the stories of Barbara Blount, Nanette Krentel, and Donna Gonzalez. 3 lives, 3 mysteries, 3 trails gone cold in the Louisiana heat. On the morning of May 2nd, 2008, 58-year-old Barbara Blount was going about an ordinary day on her rural property near Holden, Louisiana. A widow, she had built a steady life there, tending her garden, caring for her home, and staying closely connected with neighbors and nearby family. She was known as a kind, gentle presence in the community, her days shaped by the land and the people she loved. But that morning, something was off. Neighbors noticed her absence when routine calls and visits went unanswered. They initially thought she might have gone into town or was simply preoccupied. But as the hours passed without word, concern grew. Something was not right. When authorities were called, the scene raised immediate questions. Barbara's car, normally parked neatly beside her house, was missing. Later that day, it was found abandoned on a gravel road not far from her home. The vehicle showed no signs of a struggle, no damage, no indications of a forced entry, and nothing inside seemed out of place. Yet Barbara herself was gone, leaving behind her home, her garden, and everything familiar. The circumstances were baffling. Why would she leave her own property in broad daylight? Why abandon her car on a road she rarely used? Why were there no signs of struggle, no footprints beyond the car, no apparent clues to her destination? Her disappearance seemed almost deliberate, or at least eerily silent. A massive search ensued. Law enforcement, deputies, and volunteers combed the surrounding woods and fields. Helicopters scanned the area from above. Dogs followed every scent they could find, and roadways were checked for any indication of movement. Every possible angle was considered. Still, Barbara Blount had vanished without a trace. The search extended for days, yet no evidence emerged. No personal items, no disturbance in the landscape, nothing to suggest what had happened to her. Those closest to her were left reeling. Barbara was deeply rooted in her community. She had no known reason to leave suddenly. No conflicts, no pressing secrets. Friends and family were adamant that she would never walk away from the life she had built. The questions only deepened with time. Was she taken by someone she knew? Had she encountered a criminal who knew the area well enough to evade detection? Or was her disappearance the result of something stranger and more elusive? Local speculation offered a range of possibilities. Some considered the chance of abduction by a person familiar with the rural terrain, someone capable of hiding her from immediate discovery. Others suggested that her disappearance might be connected to a series of break-ins reported in the parish at the time, implying a possible crime of opportunity. Still, others whispered the region's age-old folklore. The bayous and thick forests sometimes take people, swallowing them in ways no search can uncover, leaving only questions and silence behind. Barbara's family never stopped hoping for answers. Every year that passed without news deepened the ache of uncertainty. Unlike cases with a clear conclusion or evidence pointing to a suspect, Barbara's disappearance offered none. No arrest, no leads that held up, no remains discovered. All that remained was the quiet of her abandoned home, the lonely gravel road where her car had been left, and the unshakable void she left in the lives of those who loved her. Her story has since become one of the more chilling disappearances in the region. For locals, it is a reminder that even in the daylight, in a familiar place, people can vanish in ways that defy explanation. Authorities continue to treat the case as an open investigation, but the trail has grown cold over the years. Each passing day only emphasizes the mystery. A woman with deep roots, a life built carefully around family and routine, simply gone. Barbara Blount's name remains known in Holden, whispered with a mixture of sorrow, fear, and awe at the unexplained. The search for answers continues in small ways. A tip here, a sighting there, but the case remains unsolved. In her absence, her property stands as a quiet monument to the unknown. Her car, a haunting reminder that one ordinary day can end in extraordinary mystery. But Barbara's case isn't the only Louisiana mystery with chilling silence, because sometimes the truth hides not in absence, but in fire. And before we continue, if you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe. These mysteries deserve to be remembered. On the morning of July 14th, 2017, the small, quiet community of Lacombe, Louisiana, awoke to an alarming scene. Thick, black smoke curled into the sky above a modest house tucked into a tree-lined neighborhood. Fire engines screamed down the streets, sirens piercing the summer air as neighbors gathered, drawn by the smell of burning wood and the flash of flames. The home belonged to Nanette Krentel, a 58-year-old preschool teacher beloved by colleagues, students, and her community for her patience, kindness, and dedication to children. Firefighters worked tirelessly to contain the blaze, battling heat and smoke that threatened to consume the structure entirely. When the flames were finally extinguished, rescuers were met with a grim discovery. Nanette's remains lay inside the charred house. Initially, the tragedy seemed to fit the first assumption many made: a domestic fire that had claimed a life too soon. Stories of accidents spread quickly among friends and neighbors, the assumption of a tragic misfortune providing some measure of understanding in the midst of devastation. But the coroner's report shattered that narrative entirely. Autopsy results revealed that Nanette had been shot in the head prior to the fire. There was no soot in her airways, a detail that confirmed she was already deceased before the flames engulfed her body. What had initially appeared to be a tragic accident was, in reality, a deliberate and calculated homicide. The fire had been set, not as the cause of death, but as an attempt to conceal it. The questions multiplied almost immediately. Who would want Nanette dead? Was it someone who knew her personally or a stranger? Why set a fire at all if the coroner could determine that she had been killed before the blaze? And how could such a violent act happen in a quiet neighborhood without leaving any immediate suspects? The investigation was swift but complicated. Detectives focused on those closest to Nanette, examining her personal relationships, financial history, and any possible grievances. Suspicion inevitably fell on people in her circle, yet no arrests were made for years. The case was further complicated by the emergence of online forums where amateur sleuths and local residents debated endlessly over her death. Speculation ranged from domestic disputes to conspiracy theories involving larger criminal networks. Rumors and accusations escalated so dramatically that they began to interfere with the investigation itself. In a highly unusual twist, a federal investigator—
Multiple sources close to the investigation have said the FBI's Civil Rights Division
was even arrested for allegedly defaming individuals in connection with online debates about the case, illustrating just how tangled the situation had become. Some theories suggested that Nanette may have been involved, knowingly or unknowingly, in something larger than her personal life. Perhaps a dispute that extended beyond the neighborhood, beyond even Lacombe itself. Others considered the possibility that her death was entirely personal, a carefully planned murder by someone close, executed with precision and then masked with the fire. In the absence of a clear suspect, both scenarios seemed equally plausible. each adding layers of frustration and fear for her family and the community. Among locals, whispered explanations often drifted into the uncanny. Stories circulated about cursed land, about houses in St. Tammany Parish where misfortune seemed inevitable. Some said the property itself carried a legacy of tragedy, though no one could substantiate such claims. Still, the eerie coincidence of Nanette's death, coupled with the deliberate fire, only added to the sense of unease that lingered long after the flames were extinguished. The fire left behind blackened ruins that once marked a place of life and warmth. Over the following months, the charred remains of the house were removed, and the land was cleared, yet the questions surrounding Nanette's death remained firmly in place. Investigators concluded definitively that her death was a homicide. The facts were clear, but the identity of the perpetrator and the motive behind such a violent act have never been revealed to the public. For her family, colleagues, and the residents of Lacombe, the case continues to cast a shadow. Nanette Krentel's life, marked by compassion and dedication to children, ended violently and inexplicably. The fire may be gone, the house reduced to nothing, but the mystery persists. Even years later, the question remains the same. Who killed Nanette and why? The smoke may have cleared from the landscape, but it has not cleared from the minds and hearts of those left behind. But Louisiana's mysteries don't always involve fire or sudden vanishings. Sometimes they begin with something as simple as a knock at the door. On April 7, 1992, 27-year-old Donna Gonzalez left her home in Rayne, Louisiana, ready to tackle a workday like any other. A young mother with a gentle demeanor, Donna earned her living selling cancer insurance door to door. It was steady work, and she took pride in helping people, even if it meant spending long hours walking the streets of her small town, knocking on doors and talking to strangers. That day, she followed her usual routine. She drove from neighborhood to neighborhood, carrying her briefcase, sales materials, and her calm determination. Her co-workers remembered her enthusiasm that morning, noting that she was organized, friendly, and focused on her route. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until that evening, when Donna never returned home. At first, her family thought perhaps she had been delayed, caught up in extra visits or errands. But as the hours passed, concern turned to alarm. Calls went unanswered, and finally, someone alerted the authorities. Donna's car was later discovered parked in a quiet street, abandoned. Everything seemed in place inside the vehicle: her purse, her paperwork, even personal items that she would never have left behind willingly. But there was no sign of Donna herself. The circumstances raised immediate questions. How could a young woman vanish so completely in the daylight hours of a familiar town? Was she targeted while working, lured into a situation she could not escape? Or did something more mysterious occur, leaving no physical evidence of struggle, no clue to her destination? Investigators combed the area surrounding the abandoned car. They interviewed neighbors, canvassed the streets she had traveled, and tracked possible routes she might have taken. Despite thorough searches, no trace of Donna was ever found. There were no witnesses who could provide a description of a suspect, no footprints leading away from the car, and no items that might suggest a struggle. The trail went cold almost immediately. Speculation was inevitable. Some theories propose that Donna had been attacked by someone opportunistic, a predator who recognized her routine and seized the chance to snatch her from the streets she had walked so many times before. Others considered the possibility that she had been kidnapped by someone she knew, though investigators found no evidence linking her to anyone with motive. Each possibility raised more questions than answers, leaving her family and the community in a state of persistent unease. In small towns like Rain, where old folklore and local legend run alongside daily life, whispers emerged to explain the inexplicable. Some suggested that spirits or unseen forces could lead people astray, vanishing them from view. While such theories were unprovable, they reflected the deep frustration and helplessness felt by those searching for answers. In the absence of evidence, imagination became a refuge and a warning. As the years passed, Donna's case faded from the headlines, but never from the hearts of her loved ones. Her mother, father, and siblings clung to hope that she might still be alive, that one day she might return, or that the truth of her disappearance would emerge. They remembered her not as a missing person, but as the daughter, sister, and mother who had vanished on an ordinary day, leaving a hole that could not be filled. Authorities kept the case open. Periodically, tips arrived, some promising, others false, but none led to resolution. There were occasional reports from nearby towns of a woman resembling Donna seen wandering or seeking work, but none were verified. The mystery persisted, compounded by the lack of a body, the lack of physical evidence, and the seemingly routine nature of the day she disappeared. Donna's story is a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. A simple workday walking the street she knew, speaking with neighbors, and performing the tasks she had done countless times became the beginning of an enduring mystery. For decades, the quiet streets of Rain have held only questions, leaving her family, friends, and the town itself to wonder what happened in those hours on April 7th, 1992. Even now, more than 3 decades later, the case remains unsolved. Donna Gonzalez has never been found, and the reasons for her disappearance remain unknown. Her family holds on to the hope that someday answers will emerge. Until then, the mystery lingers. An ordinary day frozen in time, and a young mother who never returned home. 3 women, 3 lives cut short or stolen. 3 stories from Louisiana that refuse to let go. Barbara Blount, missing from her home. Nanette Krentel, murdered before the fire. Donna Gonzalez, vanished while knocking on doors. No bodies, no answers, just silence and shadows. Which mystery stayed with you the most? What do you think really happened? Tell us in the comments. And if you're ready for the next descent into the unknown, subscribe. Because in Louisiana, not every story is told. Some are left behind, waiting.